I'm the only one who knows about tiny people living in our walls called the Little.
Hey TV junkies, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're hopping in a time machine, cranking up the synthesizer music, and zapping ourselves straight into the 1980s. That's right, we're diving into the world of TV shows that defined our childhoods. Sure, we all remember the big hits like The A-Team and Knight Rider, but trust me, there are some underrated gems that might have slipped through the cracks of your nostalgia-filled brain. These shows were packed with wacky adventures, unforgettable characters, and plot lines that made us wonder, wait, how did they get away with that? So, grab your Pop Rocks, throw on your neon windbreaker, and let's revisit the 80s TV shows that shaped us. Hold on to your space helmets, folks. This show had it all: puppets, animation, live action. It was like Sesame Street went to the moon and took a rocket ship to Crazy Town. Hosted by Gary Gnu, yes, Gary Gnu, a puppet news anchor who loved bad puns more than I love pizza. The show was a blast of color and chaos. With characters like Gorilla Gorilla and Knock Knock the Woodpecker, it was a cosmic roller coaster of fun that left our imagination soaring into the unknown. And that theme song? Pure earworm gold. Imagine a department store after hours, but instead of creepy mannequins, one of them is a magic mannequin named Jeff, who comes to life when Jody, a display designer, pops on a magical hat. Weird? Yes. Charming? Also yes. Alongside a puppet mouse named Muffy and a puppet security guard named Sam, this show was the perfect mix of magic, mystery, and very questionable workplace scenarios. I mean, it's a department store. Who knew there was so much drama behind those clothing racks? The one, the only, the man who made mohawks cool, Mr. T. This animated series followed a gymnastics team led by the iconic Mr. T, who was always ready to solve mysteries and teach valuable life lessons. Remember that catchphrase, "I pity the fool"? I still don't know what it means, but I loved it anyway. The show was packed with action, motivational speeches, and enough gold chains to make Mr. T look like a walking jewelry store. Star Wars fans, brace yourselves. If you thought Return of the Jedi was cute, then you clearly didn't see these cuddly little furballs in action. The Ewoks animated series gave us a peek into the adorable lives of the furry creatures from Endor. And let me tell you, Wicket was the cutest thing to ever wield a spear. If you're wondering how they stretched Ewoks into a full series, just know that they made it work with plenty of heroic battles, deep forest shenanigans, and occasional squeaks of pure adorableness. Okay, imagine you're a regular teenager, and one day you find out your dad is an alien. No big deal, right? Well, that's exactly what happens to Evie Garland in Out of This World. She discovers that her alien father gave her the ability to freeze time, which, let's be honest, we've all dreamed of doing at least once in high school. This sitcom had a sci-fi twist, and of course, plenty of high school drama. Oh, and Evie's best friend was a talking head in a box. Because 80s. Truly outrageous. Let's talk Jem and the Holograms, the show where a normal girl, Jerrica Benton, uses a super advanced holographic computer to turn into a pop star with rainbow-colored hair. I'm still trying to figure out if this was a show about girl power or a commercial for fashion-forward electronics. If you had the soundtrack, you were basically the coolest kid on the block. Who knew that holograms, rock music, and teen drama could come together so glamorous? This show was as soothing as a cup of chamomile tea. The world of David the Gnome followed a tiny, kind-hearted gnome named David and his wife Lisa as they went on gentle adventures. They helped animals, battled trolls, and had lots of heart-to-hearts about the importance of nature. It was the kind of show that made you feel like you should go outside and hug a tree, or at least look for a gnome hiding in your garden. Oh, you wanted hybrid animals? Well, here you go. The Wuzzles gave us characters like Bumblelion, half bumblebee, half lion, and Butterbear, half butterfly, half bear. It's the kind of thing that makes you wonder, what were the creators smoking? The adventures were as bizarre as the characters, But there was something utterly charming about a show where animals had to share personalities and parts of their DNA. Imagine G.I. Joe meets Transformers, but instead of just robots, these vehicles transformed into anything. Jet skis, helicopters, monster trucks, you name it. MASK, Mobile Armored Strike Command, was all about battling evil bad guys using insane tech. Masks that gave you powers and vehicles that could do all kinds of crazy stunts. Plus, who didn't want to drive a car that could transform into a fighter jet? I'm still waiting on that feature for my sedan. Fairy tales meet modern-day sitcom? Sign me up! The Charmings brought Snow White, Prince Charming, and their family into the real world, where they tried to navigate everything from grocery shopping to modern-day parenting while still holding on to their fairy tale personas. Snow White had 7 dwarfs, and now she had to deal with real-world problems. Talk about a cultural clash. Who didn't want to ride around in a miniature train through their mansion? In Silver Spoons, Ricky Stratton was living the life of every 80s kid's dream. A rich dad, an arcade in his living room, and enough quirky family moments to make us all feel like we needed a better life coach. Of course, the heartwarming father-son moments gave us all the feels, especially when the train crashed into the walls. Ah, Riptide, the detective show where 2 army buddies turned private eyes and solved crimes with their high-tech gadgets. Oh, and don't forget about the third guy, Murray, who was the tech genius behind the scenes. Together, they had it all: action, laughs, and the occasional dramatic helicopter escape. Perfect for anyone who loved action and good 80s mullets. Imagine having a robot for a little sister who's way smarter than you. That's Small Wonder in a nutshell. The show followed the Lawson family and their daughter, Vicky, voice input child identicant, a robot that looked and acted like a human. No one questioned why they built a robot instead of, having a regular kid, but it was the 80s. Vicky was programmed to learn human behavior, leading to plenty of laughs as she tried to figure out emotions, humor, and how to make a PB&J without creating chaos. It was a sci-fi sitcom full of laughs you didn't want to miss. The show Moonlighting was a brilliant mix of detective fiction and romantic comedy, starring Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis as Maddie and David, 2 private eyes with more chemistry than a high school chemistry lab. The banter between them was so sharp, you might have thought they were actually trying to cut each other with one-liners. The show's playful approach to romance and crime solving was groundbreaking, and is still remembered for pushing TV boundaries in ways that are still talked about today. Mostly because their love-hate relationship made everyone else want to start dating a detective. Okay, we're talking about tiny people living in the walls of your house. No, it's not your cousin who never left. It's the Littles, a family of miniature humans who could probably sneak into your fridge and steal your lunch without you even noticing. These little adventurers, literally, tackled problems far bigger than their size, helping their human friend Henry and dealing with life's everyday disasters. Like, avoiding being vacuumed up by the cleaning lady. The charm of the Littles was in their big hearts, even though their feet were about the size of a postage stamp. Superheroes are cool, right? Now picture this. A school teacher accidentally gets his hands on a superhero suit with superpowers, but he has no idea how to use it. That's the premise of The Greatest American Hero, where Ralph Hinckley discovers a suit that turns him into a flying, crime-fighting superhero. The only catch? He can't figure out how to actually use the suit without crashing into things. And his sidekick, FBI agent Bill Maxwell, isn't much better at helping. Picture a superhero with a manual that's written in sarcastic font, and you've got this cult classic. Manimal was one of those shows where you watch and immediately ask, wait, what? Dr. Jonathan Chase was a man who could transform into any animal. Yes, any animal. So naturally, he used his powers to fight crime, because that's exactly what you want to do when you can turn into a panther, right? The premise was so wild that it could have only been an 80s show. Unfortunately, Manimal didn't get the long run it deserved, probably because every episode was like a game of Guess the Animal and viewers couldn't keep up with the shape-shifting. Ah, Punky Brewster, a show that taught us that family is what you make it. Punky, a quirky and adorable girl with a huge personality, was taken in by grumpy foster parent Henry. The dynamic was like watching a mismatched buddy comedy where the buddy is a little girl and the grumpy old man is actually kind of lovable, once you get past his inability to know what a fluffy pancake is. With a healthy dose of adventure, life lessons, and a good-natured humor, Punky and Henry became a duo we'd never forget, even if you did forget the Punky Power catchphrase. Automan was an 80s fever dream. Picture this, a computer programmer who creates a holographic superhero named Automan, and together, they fight crime in a neon-colored world of early CGI effects. If you can imagine a hero who could literally drive through walls and fly using light trails, because reasons, you get the gist. It was an action-packed show with some very questionable special effects. But hey, it was the 80s, and we were all just glad to see someone other than a car fight crime.